Hello, everybody. This is Maxine Taylor, America's first licensed astrologer, and I have the forecast for the United States for July 2022. Before I jump into that, I want to tell you all about this book that I've been working on called Take Back Your Money. Money's an issue right now. Have you noticed? And I have a technique called Take Back Your Life that allows you to not only see your programming about money, because you can put you can plug any topic into Take Back Your Life. So dealing with money, it shows you, I help you see your entire story about money that you got when you were a little kid, maybe a baby, because it begins very early. Not only do you see it, but I give you a technique for releasing it so that you can claim the money that you want, so that you can create the money you need. I'm editing it this weekend, and I hope to have it ready sometime in July. I will let you know when it's ready. And I know a lot of you are gonna be very helped by this, because as I've worked one-on-one with people, they have said that this absolutely transformed their lives, because the way you do anything is the way you do everything, right? Okay, so let's take a look at the United States chart. Oh, and by the way, some of you have asked about Trump's chart. I'm going to wait until August before I even consider it, because that's when there will be more activity. The energy it takes for me to look at various politicians' charts is very draining. And so I'm going to wait until I have something powerful to share. You might say, well, what about the hearings on January 6th? They were powerful, weren't they? They were awesome. And as I like to say, those of you who have followed me for a while, we ain't seen nothing yet. That's just how it goes. So, as I look at the United States chart, those of you who study astrology know that there are 12 houses in a chart, and each house deals with a different area of life. In a mundane chart, such as a country's chart, because countries and cities are born, when you sign on the dotted line, there's a birth there. And so I'm going to share the mundane interpretations of the houses for those of you who are students of astrology. If you're not, just ignore it, because I'm going to give you the basic information anyhow. But a lot of you are students of astrology, and you really want to know how I'm arriving at some of the things I'm saying. So I'm going to share it with you. Okay, first of all, let's start with the sun. The sun is the giver of life. It's the center of our universe, right? And so because wherever it goes, and it will travel through all 12 signs in the course of a year. In July, and we are in July, the sun has been in the second house. Now, the sun being the giver of life, you might expect that there would be tons of money that everybody makes. No, not necessarily, obviously, but there is improvement in the financial situation. On the 4th of July, we have a solar return. This occurs every single year at actually a different time of day, and even it can occur the day before the birthday or the day after the birthday, as well as the day of the birthday. I haven't done a solar return on the United States chart, but I do have the aspects. Now, the second house of a mundane chart deals with commerce and trade and money, of course, earnings, savings, the stock exchange, banks, debts, and this is the personal debts, not only of the country, but of the people. When we have the solar return, this is an indication of a rebirth on some level. And I don't know about you, but I'll take it on any level at once. Okay, on the 21st of July, now, of course, the sun is going to be in our second house until the 21st. And then it moves into the third house, this third house here. And you can see there's a lot of activity going on there. This is just the sun. I'll be doing Venus, Mercury, Mars, and Jupiter in just a little bit. The third house in your birth chart is communication, correspondence, transportation, siblings, ideas. In the United States chart and in the chart of any country, it deals with communication, news media, reporters, the mail system. We're not even going to go there, okay? Public opinion, traffic, travel of a short distance nature. I don't mean up to the mall, but short trips. Books and newspapers, your neighborhood. If you live in a suburb, that would be your neighborhood. Schools, teachers, local matters, and public transportation. Now, this deals with streets and roads. And so this means that we can have improvement in those areas. Also, because this rules communication, which means the press, I feel like the press is really going to be hopping on all the information that they get. They will be researching it like crazy. They've already been doing that, and there will be a lot more forthcoming. On the 24th, the sun sits on Mercury, the planet of communication. And so we can expect lots of activity in regards to everything that falls under the heading third house. Again, communication, newspapers, travel, public opinion, the mails, neighborhoods, schools, and teachers, and public transportation, and traffic in general. Then on the 29th and 30th, the sun sits on the north node of the moon. This is the area in somebody's chart where they find the greatest advancement and the greatest improvement in their lives. Well, with the sun, the giver of life, sitting on that at the end of the month, that is what we are looking at. And I also want to mention at the end of the month, we have a new moon in 5 degrees of Leo that sits right on that north node. So we can expect improvement in everything dealing with the third house. This is wonderful. And I am very, very personally very grateful to all of the people in the news media who are really doing their very best. I'm not talking about sensationalism. I'm talking about the ones who are unearthing the truth. Thank you so much. We, the people, appreciate that. Now, with this emphasis on the north node, I didn't put it here, but the south node, which is the opposite point, is in the 9th house of the higher mind and foreign relations. And so foreign relations, higher education, advertising, the upper courts, all right, meaning the Supreme Court, of course, world trade, universities. And so there is a pulling away from that in order to concentrate more on our immediate environment. Isn't that cool? So the full moon is on the 13th in 21 degrees Capricorn. Now, it's in the 8th house. The 8th house is the house of death and rebirth. Now, in a personal chart, it is not necessarily a physical death. However, in a mundane chart, it can manifest that way. It deals with other people's money, okay? In a country's chart, that means the treasury and the treasurer, our debts, taxes, losses, escrow, I mentioned death, but most importantly, secrets. And again, the wonderful shows that appeared this past week dealing with witnesses relating to the January 6th event they have brought forth secrets that have been evaluated as being accurate and quite life-changing. This is going to continue during July. And because it's a full moon on the 13th, right around the 13th, expect an important piece of news, okay? A secret that has been revealed. And you might say, well, how is that possible? Haven't we seen everything? Oh, no. No, not by a long shot. Then, as I mentioned, on the 28th, we have a new moon, and that's where the press becomes active. That's when we talk about the roads and traffic and the safety of not so much air travel, although it can be air travel, because air travel sometimes is a short distance. Long distance travel is the 9th house. So there may be less of that and more local emphasis. All right. Let's talk about Venus. Let me see if I did it. Yeah, okay. Venus, the pink planet. Venus is love and beauty and art and music, and it is the lesser benefic. Wherever it is, it blesses us and tends to soften things, which is good because on the 10th of July, Venus sits on Mars. Mars is the planet of war, of activity, of fighting. Wherever Mars is, that's what comes first to us, and that's what we fight with or fight for. The first house in your birth chart is your physical appearance, your personality, the you that you present to the world. In a mundane chart, it's the attitude and political mood of the people. It also deals with public health. And so Venus here can help public health. I'm thinking COVID, of course. However, it can soften demonstrations because demonstrations reflect the mindset of the people, the mood of the people. And it can be, I mean, I'm hoping that that is what it is, rather than loving to fight and yell and carry on. Now, on the 18th, Venus moves into the second house of money, earnings, savings, all finances, stock market, banks, debts, commerce and trade. We have a Venus return on the 19th. This should help the economy. Now, it may not help your wallet, Remember, there are millions of people in this country. And I think sometimes we become myopic and say, well, what about me? What about me? What about me? And I understand that perfectly because I've said that too. This is what will affect the entire country. And so there is a blessing here, which is wonderful. And then on the 22nd, Venus, which is the lesser benefic, sits on Jupiter, which is the greater benefic. And this is when we can expect to see some sort of increase in the money of the people. And again, you might say, well, it's not enough for me. And I can certainly understand that. And I can only tell you that this is bringing about an uplifting. Will it affect you personally? I don't know. Will it affect me personally? I don't know. But it does affect the country. And I love my country. And I see a bigger picture than just my wallet, if you know what I mean. Okay, then on the 26th, Venus sits on the sun. The sun is the giver of life. And the second house in the United States chart is filled with both Venus and Jupiter, the two benefics, the two good guys of the zodiac, and the sun. So let's just visualize the economy of the country improving. Because if the country's economy improves, it will trickle down to each of us on some level. Are you going to win the lottery? I don't know. But let me mention this, you can't win if you don't buy a ticket. So somebody's going to win it. Why not you? I'm just saying. Okay. Mercury. Now, Mercury is the blue planet that moves around very quickly. Mercury is what we think about and talk about. It is the planet of communication of ideas. It's the conscious mind. The moon is the subconscious mind. Mercury, the conscious mind. And we're having a Mercury return, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Whenever we have a solar return, which we do every year on July 4th, maybe the 3rd, maybe the 5th, depending on the year, but it's right around July 4th. So Mercury is in the first house of the United States chart, which means everybody's been talking. The mood of the people. I mean, I have not seen so much talking, so much communicating, particularly these last few weeks with the hearings from the January 6th investigative committee. Everybody's talking. On the 5th, Mercury moves into the second house of our chart, of the United States chart. Now, I'm going to look here. On July 4th, the sun sits on the sun. We have a solar return. However, Mercury, right around then on the 6th, sits on Venus. Now, you might say, well, how does that help our money? Well, what you think about and talk about is what you put your attention on. And whatever you put your attention on grows. So there may be more ideas among the people of how to create more money. If you're waiting for a handout, you might be waiting a long time. But if you create a new avenue for yourself, a financial avenue, this can be awesome. On the 7th, Mercury sits on Jupiter. Remember, Venus and Jupiter are the two good guys. Jupiter is expansion. And that's expansion of our money. Terrific. And then Mercury sits on the sun on the 11th. And so the country is thinking in terms of our personal earnings. And this can improve the stock exchange, our debts, our savings, our money in general. I like that very much, and I'm sure you do too. And if you're waiting to see an improvement in your finances, I hope the stars are shining on you. All right, on the 15th, Mercury moves into our third house of communication, and this now indicates more travel, more communication. The people in the news are going to be just talking off the charts. This is great. It's public opinion. It's traffic. It's traffic too. And so this can be improved right then, middle of July. It deals with books and newspapers, neighborhoods, subdivisions, schools, very, very important. I don't have to tell you what has gone on in schools lately with shooting. I can't, I just can't go there. It is unthinkable to me that our congressmen and senators would allow this to happen. You know what I'm talking about. Teachers and public transportation. So there's going to be lots of, hopefully there are no accidents that bring this about, but our focus is going to be there. And then on the 22nd, Mercury sits on our north node, and that is when we might see improvement in all things related to our third house. On the 26th of the month, Mercury moves into the fourth house. Now, the fourth house in your birth chart deals with home, family, and real estate, and all things relating to emotional security. In a mundane chart, yeah, it is real estate. Excuse me. It is the party out of power. All right. It's all domestic affairs. It's the weather too. And our weather has been nuts. Well, expect more. All right. Because we're putting our attention on it. And I'd like to think that we're actually going to do something about it. It deals with land, with farmers, with builders, with crops, with mines, and with seniors. Let's hear it for us. Okay, and last but not least, we've got Jupiter and Mars. Now, Jupiter is the greater benefic, one of the good guys. The other one is Venus. And wherever Jupiter is, it brings blessings. It deals with truth, with expansion. It deals with principles, which is terrific. Not just ideas and talking and complaining and, bitching and moaning. It deals with the higher mind. Now, it is going to go retrograde on the 28th, which means it is in the shadow of the retrograde. And when Jupiter goes retrograde, it's a slower moving planet. It will stay retrograde till November 24th. Now, it is in the 11th house of the United States chart. In your birth chart, the 11th house deals with friends, humanitarian projects, your hopes and wishes, group activities. In a mundane chart, it deals with Congress. Okay, here we go. Jupiter is retrograde. Hurry up and wait. I'm just saying, I'm just reading the chart. It deals with congressmen and women. It deals with legislation. And when Jupiter is retrograde, there is a delay or a redoing of some legislative option. In other words, there may be a redo. We may be revisiting a bill, whether it passed or not. It deals with the treasury. It deals with city councils, with county councils. It deals with our friends. When I say our friends, I mean the United States allies and friends. And this is quite lovely, which tells me that in November, when Jupiter goes direct, and then of course, it will go into the shadow of the retrograde and ultimately come out of the shadow, our friends and neighbors, those countries that would fall under the category of friends, there may be in an organization or more than one organization, a review, a rethinking of who is going to be invited and who's going to be asked to leave, that type of thing, okay? And Mars, the planet of war and passion and action, is hidden in the 12th house. Now, in your birth chart and my birth chart, the 12th house is behind the scenes activities. It deals with the subconscious. It's the spiritual side of things. In a mundane chart, it's very, very interesting. The 12th house deals with bribery, spies, and hidden enemies. And these enemies can be very close to us. They are hidden. They may be hidden in full view. Remember, these are all the enemies of our country, and they can be our own party, our own friends. Okay. Spies, hidden enemies, prisons, jails, hospitals, all institutions of that nature. Criminal crimes, and there are crimes that have been committed, and they will be activated. I'll tell you why. Charitable institutions, seclusion, the past, things from the past that come to light, secret societies, any type of slavery, whether it's sexual slavery or literal. I certainly hope not, but remember, these definitions were written many, 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 many years ago. But this deals with those people who feel imprisoned, who feel victimized. This is the house of the victim. And it's the house of welfare, because the 12th house is the house of sorrow and sadness very often. And so anything that brings that about is indicated in a mundane chart. Okay, back to the mundane chart. Mars, what we fight with and fight for, sits on the anti-vertex in the United States chart. This particularly right around the 10th of July. Now, what is the anti-vertex? Well, I'm going to start with the actual vertex itself. The vertex in the US chart is in the 6th house of the military and work and pets and police and fire. It's our job. The vertex is our karmic role in life. And so if it's our job, and it's always on the right-hand side of the chart because it deals with, it's our role with other people. And it's permanent in this lifetime. Now, you know, and I know that we can transform our charts. That's what I do. However, mundanely, this is for millions of people. If the vertex, your karmic role in life, is in the 6th house, the anti-vertex, the anti-vertex is the place where you have control, the place where you can do something about what's going on, and it's hidden. And there's perhaps gunfire involved, perhaps artillery fighting involved. And we've got enough wars and skirmishes going on that we are involved in to get this activated. So it's not, oh my goodness, what does that mean for us? It means the continuation of the skirmishes that we are part of. And they're not skirmishes. Actually, they are all-out war. Because our anti-vertex is in the house of hidden enemies, spies. And I'm grateful for those people who have perhaps given their lives that I'll never know about, you'll never know about, who have done a job that perhaps nobody else wants. And that is to bring about a change in our anti-vertex. They don't call it that, of course, but to work behind the scenes in the name of goodness. Unfortunately, the 12th house also is working behind the scenes, not in the name of goodness, working perhaps on the dark side. We know that's true. And if you didn't, you do now. So I hope this is fascinating to you. I do think that next month, August, I'm gonna have a lot more to tell you because there will be more information that will have been forthcoming about what has been going on that we, the people, did not know about. Again, I am grateful for all of those people and who have taken the time and have worked to find out and get to the cause of everything relating to January 6th. My hat goes off to everybody, the people we know about, as well as the people we don't. So, until we meet again, my dear friends, may the stars shine brightly on you and yours. And if you need a reading, I'm at MaxineTaylor.com. Blessings to you, your families, and to all those beautiful people in Ukraine. Bye for now.